broadcast, and we are recording and we are live, and the people are pouring in here this afternoon. So I appreciate everybody making some time. I think this is the 7th webinar I've done today.
Oh, wow.
Are we the last?
Yeah, yes, you guys are the last one.
We're closing it.
That's right.
But
We're the happy hour webinar.
Right.
Yes.
I thought about that.
Oh, don't worry. I have a little cocktail here ready for later.
I have my big glass of water.
I have my big glass of water too, sadly.
Yeah.
I had alcohol today.
Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous. You even have a garnish.
It matches Neil's room.
This is coffee. I have a splash of Disaronno in there. Coffee cream and Disaronno is like magic in a cup. It's phenomenal.
Wow.
It's only my first cup and only cup for the day.
Well, we're going to give everybody a few more minutes to pop in, and then I will introduce. Hold on, I'm going to mute because somebody's mowing their lawn next door. So hold on a second. Let me shut my windows.
Okay.
I did that earlier too.
Hi, Kendra.
Hey, Kendra.
Hey, Kendra.
It looks like there's a chat and a Q&A.
Nice.
Yeah, so as those folks pop in, please know that there is a chat function and a question function. You can do either. I think we all can see the chat, so if you have questions that come up during, feel free to just pop in and say whatever you need to say. If you have a question, you can also use the question box, and Clara and Liza, I think you guys can see that. If not, we can save the questions to the end, but I think you should be able to see that. So awesome. So I'm just going to share my screen real quick and just do a quick little introduction on what we're doing here. So let's see, and then I will end that. So I am, my name is Neil McKenzie. I head up marketing for Universal, and welcome to day 3 of Virtual Market. This would have been day 2 for us in Highpoint, but it's day 3 instead, and I'm wearing shorts, which is great. So so we we launched this virtual market experience for our customers to just kind of get a sense of what we were working on, and you can go to universalfurniture.com/virtual market and take a look at any of the new products that we have. We have 360 walkthrough tours. We have video tours with our product team. And then today we have had a number of educational events, all of which we've recorded. And if you've missed any and want to go back and listen to one, you can do so on Monday. We'll have the recordings located here under the event, and we are recording this one. So if you do miss anything, you'll be able to get access. And then on Monday, I hope you can join us. We're going to launch our special order upholstery overview. Brand new for us. We're going to be doing all of that in Conover, North Carolina, and really excited about all the options. So Monday we'll kind of showcase what we have coming live this summer. So wanted to just share that and kind of welcome everybody to the virtual market experience. And then I will stop sharing my screen. And I know we've been working with Liza and Clara now for, I think, about 1.5 years, I want to say, on influencer marketing and what we do at Universal in terms of influencer marketing. And I think they've just been really a pleasure to work with. And it's such an interesting kind of topic, one that does create lots of maybe confusion and conversation at the same time. But I think this will be a good one, especially in light of what we're all kind of dealing with in terms of content creation as well from all corners of the world, no matter where you are. So Liza and Clara, I'll stop talking and kick it over to you guys.
Awesome, perfect. Thanks so much, Neil. Well, welcome everyone to the Influencer Marketing a Designer Solution panel on this beautiful Friday. It looks like we're the last panel, so we're closing out this week. And I'm Liza Kors. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Embello. We're an influencer marketing agency and platform like Neil had mentioned, but we're focused and dedicated to the home industry. I am sitting here in my gorgeous virtual living room, which is actually the Modern Collection by Universal Furniture, which will be featured in an upcoming campaign that we're doing. But we're really excited to be part of Universal's virtual market and be diving into influencer marketing and the new digital landscape. I know that we had over 300 people register, so definitely a very timely topic for especially our industry. And, you know, make sure to stay till the end because we also have a really fun Q&A rapid fire question with our panelists. So stick with us. But I want to introduce my co-host, the fabulous Clara Hannenberg.
Hi guys, thanks for joining all of us today. As the Director of Partnerships at Embello, I work really closely with brands like Universal to connect them with influencers like our awesome panelists here today. So I'd love to take a moment and introduce them. We have Lisa Mende, Cory Damon Jenkins, and Laurie Paranjape. And I would love for them, we'll have Lisa kick us off just to give a brief introduction of themselves so the audience can get to know them a little bit better, but all wonderful panelists that we're very excited to have here. So Lisa?
Okay. I am an interior designer in Charlotte, North Carolina. I work mostly in residential. I do some commercial, and I'm married. I currently have 2 kids home with me, and with my husband and our 2 dogs. So I'm happy to be here.
Great. And Laurie, you want to go next?
Hi guys, Laurie Peralt in Nashville, Tennessee. I specialize in luxury residential, lots of new construction. And I'm pretty much all over the country with my projects. Whatever is the most exciting project is a yes for me, no matter where it is. So that's sort of what I do. I do a little bit of light commercial, and whatever is the most, you know, exciting thing going is really what I'm interested in, including doing amazing things like this with partners like Universal and Embello. So thanks for having me.
Thanks, Laurie. And Cory.
Hey everybody, I am Cory Damon Jenkins. I am so thankful to see human beings. This social distancing thing has definitely taken my tolls. I haven't had a hug in like since February, so it's nice to see some virtual friends of mine in lifetime. So air hugs to everybody. I'm an interior designer and interior architect based in Detroit in New York City. And just trying to stay busy. We're having a lot of fun remotely right now with my staff between both Detroit and New York. But thrilled to be here, big fan of Universal, and just glad to have some human interaction. I've been solo for a long time, so it's good to see people.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, guys. And we're so excited to see you all as well. And I wanted to quickly mention, you might notice my Zoom background as well. I am sitting in the Nina Magnon collection by Universal, and it will also be part of a campaign with Embello later this year. So also, before we get completely started, wanted to remind our audience to please participate in the chat or by submitting a question in the Q&A down at the bottom. We'd love to get to those questions at the end of our conversation. So now I will kick it back to Liza to get us going.
Okay, perfect. Thanks so much, guys. All right, so let's jump right in and address the big elephant in the room, the current landscape that we're all in, right? All businesses have had to adapt and shift. And, you know, Universal is a perfect example of how they've been able to shift and, you know, put together this virtual experience for the entire designer community. We at Embello also, you know, had to shift and introduced our new digital marketing services earlier. And so my question for our panelists is, how has the current landscape either A, reprioritized your digital initiatives or started completely new ones? And then also, which of those initiatives are here to stay for each of your firms after we get back to what we call, you know, a new normal? Cory, why don't you kick us off here?
Sure. So I think that interior designers, we are creatives, right? We work and operate, you know, for the most part from our right side of the brains. But many of us perhaps are not as savvy when it comes to perhaps the business side of things or the technological side of things. And I think that this crisis has kind of forced our industry to embrace doing more of both, especially when it comes to embracing the technological platforms. For me, we've done a lot of work out of the country, out of our state. So working with clients and contractors virtually is nothing new for me, because I can't get on a plane and fly to Toronto, Canada, and go over a wallpaper scene with a contractor. They need to make a decision right now. So on the one hand, we've been social distancing and doing business that way long before this situation. But I will say that in the last few weeks, we have signed on 2 new clients, and I've not met either of them yet in person. So we did the entire process through our questionnaire process, video tours of the homes, of course, verification with floor plans, complete background checks on the clients as well, and probably 2 or 3 video conferences. And when I say video, I mean Zoom or FaceTime. Yeah, to qualify them. And they actually signed the contracts and sent in retainers based upon that virtual meeting. And we're actually working on their projects, even though I have not physically set foot in the home yet and have not met them. Now, I've been doing interior design since 1996, so I would be reticent to advise young up-and-coming designers who are just getting into this to conduct their business that way. I know Lisa, and you guys will can say that once you've seen one house, you've seen them all in some respects. But the point is, the technology is there. If we utilize the platform, we can really advance our business, and I think that that's here to stay.
Awesome. Lisa, do you want to add anything to that?
Sure. I'm pretty much like Cory because I've worked all over the country. So I have been working virtually for a while. This was not different for me. But what I have gotten excited about is it's pushed other people to put in place things like companies are doing virtual showrooms, and my fabric reps are showing, virtually. I was supposed to have a Zoom meeting yesterday with my fabric rep, and we rescheduled for next week, but now I can see that here, and that will save a lot of time. So I'm hoping some of those things will stick later. The virtual, as Cory says, the virtual design situation, there are 2 different ways that designers can utilize that. One is e-design, and one is more like what Cory and I do, which is full service. You can still do that virtually, but it's just, they're 2 different animals. And so I think that's one of the things that we, need to address. But I think that everybody realizing that they need to work virtually, the manufacturers, the designers, everybody, I don't think that'll change once we go back to our normal. I think people will realize the value in doing virtual presentations and having virtual walkthroughs of showrooms, because it helps everybody do business more efficiently. So that's kind of what I'm seeing and feeling, and I don't think that will change after. I think we will invest more in our home office situations, or our computers and the apps and things, we'll use those more efficiently on the go. But I have been doing that for quite a while. So it really wasn't a different thing for me. And I have worked every day since we've been shut in, so to speak. It hasn't changed.
So you were prepared for sure.
I was prepared.
Laurie, any new initiatives for you?
Well, I actually have the same circumstance as Cory. I have a new client. She's in Nashville, and normally a client in town, no problem, right? Easy peasy. But we're pretending like she's on another planet, and she interviewed me, hired me. I courted her and snuggled on her virtually, and she signed my contract, sent a retainer, and we're working through versions of the design on her whole home, and I've never stepped foot in it. And today, just before we met today, I sent a revision over and said, I'd really love to consider wallpaper in your foyer, asterisk. I don't know if there's an ending and we can, finish it, or if there's a casing, or if there's not, because I've never been there. but if we can, maybe we're going to use this wallpaper in your foyer. I mean, there's a lot of sort of variables happening, and I have to rely on a client a little bit more than I normally would. I know all of us, Lisa and Cory, really prefer to be full service and do everything for our clients and not ask much of them at all. In this circumstance, I'm sending things like, can you tilt your camera up and show me what's happening over that doorway that I can't see because I've only been virtually on there, and we did a laptop tour with you and your iPad, and so little things like that. But honestly, the fact that myself and Cory, and I'm sure Lisa, with as much as everyone loves Lisa, are still gaining clients during this time is nicely reassuring to hear that our industry is thriving and that Universal has flipped so easily to accommodate us so we can continue doing selection. So I honestly don't have any complaints, except I wish I could hug you all and hug my team.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. That was a wonderful coverage of that conversation. And I think a lot of overlap there for you all. So wanting to move on to the next question. And so an effort for you guys to all build on that brand awareness during this new digital landscape, have you started doing anything different in terms of communicating with your end consumer clients and audience? For example, are you doing IGTV now? Have you, more virtual interactive connectivity options like you guys have mentioned with your, homeowners and potential clients, viewing their homes virtually? But what other apps are you all using or now using and reaching your audience? And Laurie, why don't you kick us off on this one?
Yeah, for one thing, on Instagram, which is my primary social media account, I have really sort of had a refreshed interest in connecting that way, where I've always put it out there. It's always been my sort of live portfolio of my work and a look into the behind the scenes. But lately, I really have gone sort of deeper into my archives to show what I'm working on, and just feeling like, if my job is to make beautiful things and beautiful spaces for people, perhaps my job on social media right now is to share the most beautiful things that I can. And so I've been a little bit more aware of that, as opposed to making it a timeline and staying true to, oh, this is this week and this is next week. It's more like, you know what, this is freaking amazing. Look at this one. Isn't that beautiful? And here's something else that's really beautiful. And just kind of having that sort of notion as I'm sharing. There's a little less chit chat for me on stories, because not having all of these experiences out in the world to share with my followers like I usually do. I don't have house tours. I don't have site visits. I don't have, installation projects that I wish I did. So that's been a little bit different. I am trying to stay off the TikTok, but it is tempting me. It is absurd and ridiculous and just destroying all credibility that I may have ever had, but it is so tempting. So tempting.
Lisa, anything you'd like to add that you're doing?
Well, it's been such a flip. I mean, ordinarily I'm sharing, like Laurie said, projects and things like that and giving little sneak peeks. But when COVID happened, my first instinct was that people were in such a state of shock and devastation that I wanted to give them hope and something pretty to look at. And so I've even reached out, and I've been promoting other designers, because I feel like our community has come together in a beautiful way, and I want to support other designers. And so at first I've been just trying to do things that I felt like kind of elevated everybody's mood and give them helpful, like one day, I would never have done this in the past, but I posted on Instagram where you could buy pretty masks, because I know we've got to wear them. And so I'm like, let me help. Plus, the people who were making them were friends of mine in the industry who make fabrics or artists, and they're doing it to raise money to help. And so I've been doing that, but I have some things in motion that have been in motion for a while that I'll be releasing soon. I'm going back to blogging, and I'm going to be kicking off a series very soon on the blog that I think people will be interested in on the Design Connector. And it's all to do with interior design. And then I'm also starting a series on grief. I lost a child in 2009, and I've had a lot of people reach out to me that want me to talk about grief. And I get people all the time that ask if I'll talk to a friend who's lost a child. And I think if I could do that series, then they could just direct people there. So I guess I'm in the helping mode right now.
Good for you. I love that.
Love that, Lisa. And Cory, anything you'd like to add?
I'm not doing too much differently in terms of my social media outreach. The IGTV thing is one thing I know that we've been talking about internally getting involved with. But the Instagram stories and the Instagram feed posts have been, I think, still very effective. People do want to see beautiful things right now. They want inspiration. I've also been trying to open myself up to supporting other interior designers, especially those who are up and coming, and giving advice. I think that when this whole thing kind of crashed in on us in late February and March, I think the entire planet, the entire human family went into a serious mourning phase. We mourned the loss of loved ones. We mourned the loss of our health. We mourn the loss of our employment, the loss of our freedoms. And there's a lot to absorb all at one time. And there's no reference point for any of us to look at as to how to cope with it. And so I think that as a result, people just started cleaving to each other, to Lisa's point, as a community. But even our clients and those who are just design enthusiasts, who are just interested in interior design, they were mourning. And so we looked at beautiful things to help us cope with that. And so I think as a result of that, a lot of those young designers were freaking out over what was happening. Are we going to survive this? Am I going to get through this? So I've been using Instagram and Facebook to really have a lot more conversations with people that are in the field, to help them feel encouraged, to help them think about, ways to be smart about spending their money right now, and helping them, basically trying to be like a mentor of sorts, because even those of us who survived 2009 with the recession, that did not entirely prepare us for this. And I think that the connectivity of Instagram and social media and Facebook has been a great blessing for all of us to kind of cope with this new normal.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, beautifully said. So moving us along a little bit, we're seeing a lot of people finding either new products or services through social media, right? And sometimes even for designers, they're looking at your Instagram feed, right? They're scrolling through before even going to your website. And I'm hearing also from the industry as to designers getting, maybe business through social media, and one of the main ways that people are finding them. So, why do you feel it's so important to put resources into your own social brand presence? Let's kick that question off to Lisa.
Well, social media gives you direct access to your audience. It's an opportunity for you to be authentic. I think today's audience wants to see the back reel. They want to know who you are. And it gives them an opportunity to see you up close and personal. And I think that the social media channels that you choose, whether it's Instagram, like most designers like Instagram. I think Instagram's like the eye candy, but then Pinterest is too. If you have a shop or whatever, Pinterest is a good place for you as well as Instagram. But it gives you the opportunity to show who you are as a brand and also who you are as a person. And it gives them direct access to DM you and ask you a question. And I had someone yesterday that DM'd me and asked me about fabrics, and we talked back and forth a little bit, and it's a great way to connect with your audience. And it's another dimension of you as a designer. You have to have a website, you have to have social channels, because if you don't, it's like you're not even in the party, and you're not in the conversation. And when you have those social channels and you utilize all the social channels, then you have multifacets of the person. And I think that's huge. It gives your audience, your tribe, a chance to see you, but also the companies. And it gives companies like Universal the opportunity to really look at the person through their post and see, is this a person I want to align with? Does this person speak to our brand? So I think that's one of the reasons that social media is so important.
Yep. And designers definitely want to be in the party, right? So we all have to get in the party.
We all like to party.
Cory, why is social important to you? Or maybe, even what are you seeing kind of different changing in the industry that's leading you to kind of put more emphasis on it?
That's a great question, Liza. I think that one of the big changes in our industry has been the reduction of print magazines. We've lost so many great shelter publications, and some of our big iconic ones like Traditional Home have cut down from being monthly publications down to just quarterly. Others have disappeared completely. And so as a result, for interior designers who are looking to get published and see their work, getting a national audience, the opportunities are becoming less and less available. There's so many of us out there. There's so many talented people in the field. There's so many projects to feature. But if a magazine only has, let's say, 6 issues a year, and in each issue you may only have, what, Clara, 4 or 5 editorial stories, there's just not a lot of space for content. So Instagram and platforms like that gives me a great opportunity to showcase my latest work without having to go through an editor just to get it published. Now, granted, once you put it on your Instagram, it is considered published. So you can't go to an editor and say, hey, publish this in your magazine, this all over Instagram. But I'm still investing, to the original question, the same amount of high-end photography to my projects, even if I know they're never going to see the light of day in a national publication. They may only be on my website. They may only be on my Instagram, but yet my potential clients are getting that direct access to my work in a way they don't have to wait 6 to 12 to 13 to 15 months for a magazine to hit the newsstands. So I think it's a great marketing vehicle if we use it the appropriate way.
Yep, totally agree. Laurie?
Well, it's so timely that you just said that, Cory, because we are in the final phases of a 2.5-year project that we're going to install in Memphis at the end of May, if all goes according to plan and everybody's safely doing what we'd like to do. And I'm right in the moment of wondering if I'm going to self-publish. And holding, I've worked on this project for 2.5 years. In my, it's some of the work I'm most proud of that I've ever done. And we're going to have it shot as we install it. So I'll have those images right away. To sit on those images for 2.5 years. Yeah. So we're 5 years from the moment that I was hired by the client. Is that arc does not exist in social media. That timeline is absolutely unacceptable in social media world. And if I self-publish and put it into my Instagram universe and it's shared by others in that universe, that is better for my business. And so right now I think digital partners are more of what I need professionally to share with, because the print is tricky. It is, I understand that there's, that's among us, that there's industry credibility from the print, and I've wanted it, and, I'm thrilled that I've had it, and I'm appreciative of it. And I, devour those magazines when I get my hands on them. But Instagram is powerful. And Neil, I know we've talked about this at markets in the past. 95% of my design clients come from Instagram. Mm-hmm. There is no more powerful tool that I have. So, my partnerships that I've had with brands comes from Instagram. They're interested in, speaking through my audience. So that's why they're coming to me. So there's no way to overstate what a difference it's made for my business. and, you know, how quickly that is changing. And Cory, like you're saying, you know, when I install at the end of May, we may have fresh imagery on my Instagram at the end of May to share, or at least mid-June as soon as I get my images back, because it's too good to sit on. I can't wait.
It's immediate ROI, immediate return on investment. And that's
100%.
Yeah.
I will, as soon as I publish it, I'll book clients.
I've seen designers publishing, you know, on Instagram during COVID saying, I've been waiting for this and I'm not going to wait anymore. I'm putting it out there. And one particular image was, whose kitchen was it? It's a pink kitchen. I can't remember, but it's been all over Instagram, and I've seen it everywhere. So she's getting instant return and eyes on her project right now. So it's understandable, you know. I think
you'll have to come up with a press release plan for, you know, you to amplify that engagement to build up to you releasing that, Laurie, and you know, same with everyone. But yeah, moving on to our next question for you guys. In our conversations with designers, we've really learned that brand collaborations are really important to growing your own brands as well. Could you all speak to the benefits of influencer marketing collaborations you've been a part of, and perhaps what kind of activities that have helped you build your brand? And feel free to shout out any particular initiatives you've been a part of, but wanted to learn kind of more about that from you. And Cory, I'll have you kick us off.
Sure. So I've been honored to work with a number of great brands. I have a furniture collection with Leathercraft, a lighting collection with Hudson Valley. We just signed a new deal with a certain top of bed bedding company and a certain very popular fabric textile house. So I'm letting those powers that be make the announcements. We're going to announce it at Highpoint. I'll let them do that when they're ready now at this point. But the point is, what?
Big yay for you.
Yeah. It's amazing. It definitely is. It's a great brand builder. The only caveat I would pass to my colleagues in the industry is, when you're doing a collaboration, it's great. It's great name recognition. You get to see your designs being mass produced in a great way. But you do need to look at it as if they are a client, because the amount of time and the investment you put into a brand development, like a licensed collection, takes as much time, if not more, than what you develop with your clients in developing a home. And the return on investment is not as immediate. For the design fee for a new home, you get that money and you're making your profit. A lot of times brands don't want to pay a licensing fee to the talent, because they're also putting up capital to make this happen. It's a experiment for both parties to come together and to see this thing take place. So on that end, as long as you remember that it is something that you have to really work towards and invest in it as if it were a regular client, be prepared to put in hundreds of hours without really seeing a dime for a long time, and then having the humility to say, you know what, this chair did not sell. I flopped. And it's not a personal attack on our talent. It just didn't meet the marketplace. There wasn't an appeal for it. That light fixture was just not what that particular constituency wanted in that part of the country. It didn't sell very well. So you have to constantly pivot, constantly be humble to come up with new stuff all the time. But it is a lot of fun. I'm just trying to make sure I put the cons out there to people, because everyone's like, I want a collection. I want a licensing brand. Make sure you know what you're biting off, because it is a heavy responsibility, especially if it doesn't move.
And that's focused more toward like the licensing partnerships, right?
Yeah.
Any more like short-term influencer type of collaborations that you want to share?
Well, I've been working with a couple of you say branding, like in terms of like IMC, like Highpoint, in different showrooms.
Well, collaborating with brands, you know, on doing like sponsored content and things like that. So maybe not as time intrusive, right? Because not every designer is lucky to get a licensing deal, and sometimes influencer marketing can either be that, you know, stepping stone where they can maybe build a relationship with the brand, or perhaps it's a way for them to kind of, you know, work with them on a, I guess, a smaller scale. So any collaborations maybe you worked on in that kind of realm?
I did one recently with Lincoln, the actual car manufacturer, because, you know, I'm based here in Detroit and we make cars. And so Lincoln reached out to us to do a short-term collaboration. You are paid for every post that you make on Instagram. The thing is, it's to stay on your Instagram forever and ever, amen. So, and they have complete, very tight rein control over what you put out there on the content, on the feed. But it's quick, easy money. It was a great return on investment, very immediate. I use the word ROI a lot because I'm all about making sure that we're not spinning our wheels and burning needless effort or money. But yeah, in that regards, Liza, absolutely, it can be a great money maker and also a great way to expand your brand to a larger audience.
Thank you. And Lisa or Laurie, either of you want to chime in?
Well, I love working with brands, and the reason that it's important, I think, is number one, I only work with brands that I would have in my own home or would use in client projects. But when I work with brands and it's the right fit, it's a win-win for both, because it sets forth a cross-pollination marketing effort, and it utilizes both of our audiences. So they put me in front of their audience, I put them in front of mine, and it makes a lot of cohesion and eyes on the project, which I think is important. And I have worked, as Cory has, with DXB. We did the design panel. We did national ad campaigns for DXB. I was on Roll's Off Lux panel in 2018. Most recently, I've worked with Hunter Douglas, and I've worked with Ultra Suede. I have some new things coming up, so I'm excited about those. But I think it really gives our audiences a chance to see the product, like I was talking about earlier, us in a different dimension. It shows the product in a different dimension, because you take the product, you put it in a setting, it helps the consumer see what it looks like in a home. And I think it's really important, and it builds relationships that I find crucial to my work. Yesterday I was looking for limestone and I couldn't find exactly what I wanted. And I contacted Lindsay Waldrop at Crosville, and she found it in like 2 seconds. And that came from me working with Lindsay on a show house in Napa. So, you know, those collaborations are key to designers as well as the companies.
And Laurie, last but not least on this question.
Yeah, I had an opportunity last year to partner with Kohler, and Kohler came, I said I need to do my bathroom. Kohler said, well, what if we were partners on your bathroom? So they did the whole bathroom with me, my bathroom and my children's bathroom. And really, so it was, when you have a partnership like that where they were a dream to work with and were very clear about what our parameters were and what we were going to be able to use and what our access was. They were very clear with what they wanted from the partnership. And it was all worked out in the beginning, just like I do with my design clients. If we have clarity in the beginning about money and expectations, then things tend to move really smoothly. And that's what we had. And basically I ended up with these 2 spectacular bathrooms. That was content for me, content for Kohler. I get to live with these beautiful bathrooms in my home, and such an improvement. And we have a continued really positive relationship. And there's, that is not something that I saw coming for me as I was starting in the business. But it has been such an amazing added value to me personally and to my business over these past few years. And I just started a new collaboration with True Refrigeration to design a kitchen in their main showroom. And that's really, it's like all of those things are so exciting. These are companies that I work with. These are things that I have in my home. These are natural endorsements for me. And the fact that they'd like me to be a spokesperson for them is flattering and, you know, an easy yes when it's such a good fit like that.
Yep, I think what you said of treating those type of collaborations like you would a design project is perfectly said, because they are a client, there's a process, and there's, you know, an end result to it. So thinking as it as a client project is perfect. So we at Embello get asked a lot by designers if the caliber of their social presence is, I guess, you know, good enough to work with some of our brands, right? And for us, it's a combination between fit, but also numbers, because at the end of the day, our clients want to see results, right? So if the goal for a campaign is to build, you know, brand awareness, we're going to be looking at what the potential reach of that campaign is. If the goal is, you know, perhaps maybe more on conversions, we're going to look at things like engagement. So I'd love to learn from you, and maybe even you can share some tips as to, you know, to the audience as to how they can build, you know, their social presence. And also maybe, you know, why do you think that some of the brands that you all just mentioned, all those great collaborations, why did they choose you? So let's start off with Laurie. We'll kick it back to you.
Well, I think, you know, part of the natural process, I think, in pairing nicely with a brand is that you have an established relationship that's positive. So it's very difficult to give advice to someone who has not yet established those relationships, because you can't start with a partnership or an endorsement or a collection if you have not yet, if you don't buy from the brand, if you don't engage with the leadership within the brand, if you don't use them on your projects, if they're not part of who you are naturally, there's no reason to force things. That we naturally are drawn to certain people, we're drawn to certain brands, we develop relationships, and over time it becomes more of a, you know what, that really occurs to me, that's a great idea, you know what we should do together? We should try this, or you would be perfect for this thing that, you know, those, to me, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for relationships in the industry with my fellow designers and my industry partners, and really developing that. So when the right thing for both of us happens, we're all really clearly aware of it and can move into it naturally, instead of, why don't I try to be a nice fit for Universal, and making that difficult. It shouldn't feel like that. It should be like, oh yeah, this is perfect. And I'm not really interested in spending my time bending over to fit something that's not a good fit. And I don't think the brands are either. And I don't think that's successful. So if I were to give advice to someone who's interested in partnering, it would be much more of, use your time at market, use your time on Instagram to establish actual relationships and pay attention to the things that feel like a good fit. I talk a lot for my design business about holding things loosely in my hands, and the clients that are meant for me sit naturally right in my hands. I don't have to squeeze them. I don't have to chase them. I don't have to wrangle it or compromise. None of that. It's just, here's what I have to offer. And when they sit there naturally, then those are the good fits. That's exactly how I feel about the brands. You know, there are showrooms I walk into at Universal or at Highpoint, like Universal, where I feel at home, and I know the people and I know the faces, and it feels like a good fit. That, to me, is where collaboration begins. It doesn't begin as a business transaction for me.
Right. And I think that's also the basis of social, right? It's supposed to be genuine and authentic. And so that should be how your, you know, collaborations, you know, should be as well. Lisa.
Well, everything that Laurie said is absolutely true. All of the collaborations that I've had have been because I do business with the brands, and they are authentic to who I am. I think when you step outside of that realm, it doesn't do anybody justice, because your followers are following you for your look, your aesthetic, and those would include those products that you work with. So I think it's very, very important to be authentic. I also think it's important to build those numbers, because you can't go into the situation wanting something from the brand and you have nothing to offer them. So you got to do your work. And I hear designers all the time say, pish posh, I don't have time for social media. I'm not doing social media. But I think the time has come that everybody has to realize that's an extremely important part of the business. And one of the reasons it's so important is it's free. I mean, it does take time, but there are a lot of tools you can use to cut the time and to make it so that it's an easy process. But the collaboration has to be a win-win for both parties. And, I think anybody that is active on a lot of social channels, like if you have a blog, and a blog is important because you own that blog. Social media, Instagram could go away tomorrow. Facebook could go away tomorrow. But what you write on that blog, you own that. And so that's your information that you're putting out. And then you can loop it to all the other channels. So when a brand knows you have a blog and that you can write about them, that gives them something that they know is going to be on the internet and is staying there. And so you have to put your hard knocks in and do what you have to do to have the wherewithal for the brands. And it's not a one-way street.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Putting investment in social, definitely.
Yep.
And then even with the blogging that you mentioned, it can also help with your SEO. And so when people are looking to find you as a, design firm, you'll come up in searches a lot more. So it does help, all around. Cory, anything you want to add? Sorry.
Good content equals SEO.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with everything that Laurie and Lisa mentioned. I think that you have to be a good advocate for the brand. I think of it like a politician running for office. Once they've gotten enough, and we're going into an election year, so I'll just use that analogy, they want surrogates on the campaign trail to represent their brand, to go to the constituents and to impress upon them why they should vote for this particular politician. All of these companies that we love, they are all in the same boat in the sense that they're all manufacturers of different products. But at the end of the day, they're all competitors, right? They're all trying to get sales and to get as much product out there in the pipeline and as many sales accounts from these constituents as possible. So when a brand approaches you to do some sort of influencing campaign, which is what it is, they want someone that can be a good surrogate for them, someone that can really vouch for their brand, can vouch for them as people, especially those family-owned brands, So if you've been authentic, if you tell your story and they can connect with you on a human level versus being a cold machine that's just out there trying to get likes and loves and, follows, that speaks to the heart of these marketing directors who run these different brands. And if they can partner with you and get you out there on the campaign trail on their behalf to help them get elected to be the best manufacturer of Highpoint or whatever market we're in, that's a win-win for everybody. So I think it's all about authenticity, but also being a really good advocate for the brand, which means buying their products.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, guys.
Sorry, I want to jump right in because I know we have 10 minutes left and we have a couple questions and the rapid fire, and I know that the audience has questions. So I want to ask Neil just, regarding timing, where we should kind of be, or should we just keep...
Yeah, no, I think we can go through. We don't have to kick everybody off. So.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure. Okay, go ahead, Claire.
No one's going anywhere.
I mean, where are we going? Yeah. I'm home for the weekend.
Yeah, really.
All right. Well, moving our conversation a bit forward and delving a little bit deeper into, how you benefit and how you kind of go into these collaborations. What terms, in terms of benefits, is there additional revenue stream or a need to establish deeper relationship with brands, or what needs to align in order for these influencer marketing initiatives to work for you? And, you know, how do you determine if that collaboration is right? So I will shoot it to Lisa for this one.
You know, a brand collaboration is just like a client, like Cory was saying, in that you have to weigh each one and look at that brand and see where the fit lies. And if it's a brand that I'm dying to work with, that I love, maybe, you know, we can do a combination of money and product, or maybe they're paying me, or maybe sometimes I'm just deciding to be a goodwill ambassador because they have done things for me in other ways. I don't know. It varies, and it's like interior design in that there's no clear-cut contract. I don't have a certain oh, I'm gonna ask for this. I try to kind of base if I'm charging the company for working with them, I'm doing it just to kind of cover my time, and I base it on my followers. I don't really have a clear-cut answer for that. It just depends case by case on what I'm doing, really. So,
Cory, anything to add?
Very similar. I do want to make sure that they have a reach that will benefit from the collaboration. Not every collaboration is a good one. And so I've been approached by a number of different companies, but sometimes their social media following may only be a couple hundred people, like literally. And there's nothing wrong with that. But by the time I do all that heavy lifting, all that work and development, again, the ROI, it's not there. Very few people will see it. And then you feel bad because you committed to this, and now you're gonna follow through with your commitment, but you'll be kicking yourself the whole time because you're not gonna really see anything from your investment. So that's very important. Do they have the wherewithal, the following, the marketing prowess to really get the collaboration out there in a meaningful way? So that if you do something, you know, gratis, you know, at no charge, at least you're able to benefit from the exposure in some way.
Definitely. It's a two-way street, and you need to be getting something out of it too. Laurie, anything that we haven't mentioned?
Well, just a quick example of how to negotiate or what might be interesting to you is I had a choice to make. So I got to do a licensed line of wallpaper with Mitchell Black and the Mrs. Paranjape papers, which was amazing. It was my first licensing deal. It was so exciting. I had to call my husband from the casino where we were in Vegas when she asked me, and it was so fun. But I had to decide if I wanted to take residuals from the sale or if I wanted to take a lump sum up front. Okay. And it was my first deal, and it was really tricky. I didn't quite have the confidence that I could sell product. So I opted for the lump sum. I opted for the guaranteed money. And while it was a positive decision and it has been nothing but a wonderful relationship, wallpaper's doing really well. And so I'm like, so it's selling in anthropology, huh? So yeah. Maybe.
Your wallpapers are great, by the way.
Thank you, Lisa. So maybe I should have rolled the dice and been a little riskier. I tend to be risk averse, and I like to go with a sure thing. But that was an interesting, that was an interesting question for me to handle and grapple with. And I've had some time to sort of process through and see how it went. And I know we don't win them all. You know, when you collaborate, they don't end up being long-term relationships every time. This one just has been. But anyway, that was a tough one for me. And I'm just going to say I won because it's going well and leave it at that.
I'll have to check them out. I'm trying to do my office.
Please do.
All right, so last question for us here. So I like to keep it real, and when designers ask, me or someone at our team at Embello, how they can grow their social presence, I tell them that they need to invest in resources or in a team. Designers, you have a full-time job. You're working on projects, you're sourcing, And then you're also needing to blog, do your own social. Now video is crazy and you need to be TikToking maybe. So, you know, how do you do it all? You know, are there any tips or, you know, just being real with the audience of how you're able to manage it and create beautiful content where brands want to work with you? Cory, let's kick it off with you.
So I have an assistant that helps me with my social media. Her name is Hannah. She's amazing. But we have a really good relationship in the sense that I still am doing my own content, but she makes sure that the posts are populated out to the feeds and everything at the appropriate time. Like you mentioned, Liza, I'm busy running the enterprise. I don't have time that, okay, 4 o'clock is the high posting time for best engagement. My clients, my design clients, do not care about my posts on Instagram, right? So she will take the caption. So I pick out all the imagery. I do all my own captions. When you read something on my Instagram, I type all of that up in my own vernacular. And why wouldn't I? No one else at my firm is going to know my design process as far as why I did that room a certain way, but me. So I do all the typing, but I'll do like a whole week's worth of posts and then the images that go along with it. And then we figure out what's going to be Instagram stories, what's going to be this, what's going to be that. And then she then loads it up at the appropriate time throughout that week. So people are like, how are you in a meeting with me right now? Are you on your phone? I'm like, no, I'm actually not on my phone. That's me being in 2 places at one time by way of my assistant. So it's just delegating it out and knowing where to stay in your own lane when it comes to knowing when to post.
Yeah, I mean, there's apps out there, right, that can help you schedule that all out. Laurie, what's your secret sauce?
Well, I thank you for saying that. I have zero secret sauce. I work my tail off on my Instagram. It's me, just me. I have a team, but they don't help me with my social media. I find the image every morning. I write the caption every morning, and I reply to all of the comments all day, every day. I compare Instagram to a cocktail party. And I feel like, you know, we call it social media and that gets lost and everybody says, oh, remember, it's social media. And what I feel like is when I put a picture out there, I have walked into a cocktail party. And when someone comments, it is me at a cocktail party ignoring someone who has just approached me. So I really try to make it feel like a conversation and stay connected to people. That's what we're trying to do anyway, right? To put things out into a vacuum and to not participate with them. And you know, there are some things that this could be a separate Zoom call. We can talk about it later, but you know, I get a lot of product questions that I feel protective of my clients to not answer unless it's designed to be something where I can share the information. Briefly, I did that bedroom for JoJo Fletcher and Jordan Rogers out in Dallas, the Bachelorette and the Bachelor. And we knew ahead of time that we were going to share. So that was really sort of an open book, and we shared everything. We sourced everything. We knew it. And she has a large social media following, and we knew that ahead of time. When I'm working for a private client, although they're aware and have signed my contract that we'll be sharing imagery, I don't feel like it's my obligation to share brand information that I have spent my entire career finding the perfect whatever, chair, lamp, paint color, lacquer color, artwork, and then just sharing it. I posted this morning that project in Memphis that I'm going to install and my clients will move into next month. And immediately all of the questions were about the products in the thing. And my response nicely was, we're going to let my clients move in first, if you don't mind. They've been paying me for 2.5 years to find everything in that picture. Yeah. And so I won't be sharing it on social media. Yeah. And I hope that people can respect that and understand that I share what I can, and then the rest of it is off limits. It's why I'm paid, actually. Yeah. It's precisely why I'm paid.
You're not an operating help desk.
No, we are not. No, we are not a market guide to when I found that in 2007, and I've been waiting to use it in the perfect place. And now I'm going to tell you what that object was and where to buy it so you can go into the Googleverse and have it shipped to your house.
Not to mention, sometimes they're going around their own designers. Their designer may have said no, or may have a certain direction, and the client could rebel. and say, well, I'm going to see if I can get this wallpaper for a better price. And so I could be inadvertently handicapping a colleague in somewhere else in the country or in the world by giving a price point to a client, and I'm not even benefiting from it financially. I'm not getting any business from it, but I could also be hurting someone else. So it's a very slippery slope. So I love the way how you worded that, Laurie. We've been hired to provide a service to our clients. If you want to hire us for said services, here's my number or my email, give me a call. But aside from that, stick to.
Please enjoy the image.
Huh?
Please enjoy the image.
Yes.
Tell me what your favorite part is of the image, but this is not I am not a click link for product designer.
All right, well, should we get into the fun rapid fire question? Do you guys have your signs? We forgot to. Yeah. Okay. Oh, cute.
Backwards.
You guys are adorable.
I love it. Okay, so this is always fun to end panels with some fun, just questions to get us excited for the weekend and get us laughing and, lighthearted. So you all have your signs. On the front it says yes, on the back it says no, and we're going to be asking some fun questions to you guys. So
fun.
First off, have you binge watched Tiger King? And
no, backwards.
We got 2 no's. Okay.
Am I no backwards to you guys, or just it to me?
Backwards to me.
I'm backwards.
It's perfect.
I see it right.
Okay. All right. No.
Laurie, do you think Carol killed her husband?
Now you don't have to watch it.
I love it. Okay, next, are you on TikTok? If no, what's holding you back, Cory?
I'm still trying to get through Instagram. I did join House Party.
Okay.
House Party.
I saw Lisa's on House Party.
Yeah, I'm on House Party. But I'm on TikTok, but I'm working on my dance moves. I haven't posted any of those pew, pew, pew yet, but I'm working on it. I'm working on it, Cory.
QBD, okay. Have you been affected personally by the toilet paper shortage?
Oh, you might need to send some to Cory.
Yeah, I have an apartment in New York and I have an office in New York. So I've been going back and forth between the 2 states forever. But I've been hunkered down during the COVID situation for the last 7 weeks. So I haven't been here in my condo here in Michigan this long in a while. So I had a big supply, and then I've used it up. So I went to Whole Foods and I went to Kroger and Meijer, and everything was sold out. Even like the bad brands that cut you up and use them, even they were out. I was like, wow. I was like, I'm using Kleenex. I'm just kidding. I'm fine. It was definitely difficult for a minute there. I had to keep driving around.
I had a little moment of panic myself, I will say, just because you run out of what you stocked up on. I don't know. All right.
Can I say that I strongly encourage you to have a collaboration with Kohler so you have a bidet?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Never have a toilet paper crisis again. It's amazing.
I have a Toto toilet. So.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
Perfect answer, you guys. All right. Any of you have a good tip from working at home that you'd like to share, or a major learning that you would like to share your knowledge with the rest of us during this time? Okay, all of you. Let's go with Cory first. He was the quickest with the hand.
So we still have summer coming up. At some point, it will be shirtless season again, and I have vacation time scheduled. So I will be taking this off. And so the 6-pack has to be intact no matter what I'm eating, as I eat my feelings during this depressive situation right now. So I have been doing 100 push-ups per day. And I'm trying to do 50 sit-ups per day, but that's a little difficult on the back. And then also a series of planks, different types of plank exercises as well. And surprisingly, between that and just trying to watch my calorie intake, I've been able to, I trimmed about 10 pounds,
What?
Press. I did. I've lost 10 pounds.
Amazing.
Look at how gaunt my face is, like, so. But a lot of that's from exercising too, so it helps.
Awesome. Fitness tips from Cory. Lisa, what do you got?
Well, I've also lost 10 pounds, Cory. I am gluten-free, sugar-free and alcohol-free for 52 days. I started that 2 weeks prior to COVID. But my tip that I absolutely love is I bought the Bose noise reducing headset for the airplane like several years ago. And I wear it here all the time so that I can think, because between the dog barking or the yard man mowing or the kids that are here, there's music going in the bedroom next door. And so the Bose headset or the earbuds, I have both, are in my ears all the time to block out so that I can concentrate on work. And when the door is closed in this room where I work, they know not to bother me. And the only thing they can do is text me, and then I can text them back. So if I'm on a call or something, a meeting like this, I'm not getting interrupted.
Laurie, what do you have?
I love that, and I need to get those headphones. I'm going to add that to cart.
Brand collaboration right there.
Yeah.
That's right. No, for me, really, I'm just getting outside. I miss my team so dearly, and I miss that socializing, and I miss just collaborating and having those amazing feelings when you're working on something and someone makes it a little bit better, and then you talk about it and it gets even better, and then they're like, oh, well, wait, did you see this fabric? It just came in. I miss that so much.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to just change my environment a little bit. I hang out here with the pups, and I'm working and I'm hearing all of those things because I don't have noise canceling headphones. But I will go sit outside in the yard with my laptop and just have some fresh air and feel like my environment has changed a little bit. And I never do that when I'm working. So it's a whole new thing because I'm home and I can. But it's a mood lifter for sure for me.
Definitely. Last rapid fire from me. Have you tested out a new recipe since quarantining? And has there been any epic fails or major successes you'd like to mention? No from Cory.
I make a mean bowl of cereal.
Oh yeah. No, Laurie. Lisa, have you been chefing? No.
Well,
in the house.
Have you been ordering in then?
I'll tell you what I have been doing, which I am a great grocery orderer from way back because that's the way I cut time. I utilize apps like crazy. And I never talked a while ago, but I used the Tailwind or Later to post my Instagram. So I can do a month of that. And so it helps. But I use Shipt, the app Shipt. Okay. And they deliver, and then I use Amazon Fresh and Amazon Pantry and Thrive Market, and I've been doing that forever, and I have a standing list of everything I order from them, so I can just go in and edit, and it takes 2 minutes to order groceries. And my COVID secret is I've been ordering Omaha steaks because I have 3 men that I have to feed, and they're so excited. And because they come frozen, they're not afraid to eat them. And so we've been getting the big box of, filet mignon and hot dogs and burgers, and they come so fast, and it's frozen and it goes in the freezer, and you don't have to eat it that day or whenever. It's there when you need it. So it's been my backup stash, but great recipes.
Great tips though. Awesome. Okay. So my turn. Would you give yourself an at-home haircut?
I did yesterday.
Wow.
I cut my bangs yesterday.
To get ready for this panel?
No, I had a panel yesterday. I had a cocktail party yesterday at 5, and my bangs were down to here, and I cut my hair and sprayed my roots. So
I cut mine too.
I shaved mine this morning every 4 or 5 days. You can't really mess up my hair. I'm grateful. 1996, I've been shaving my head, so this works for me.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's good. All right. Does anybody have a good Zoom story to share?
I have a funny one.
Go. I don't. You go. All you.
I was in here the other day with a client, and I had all of her fabrics out, and I had sent her the memos as well, but I had one particular fabric that I was gonna, do the great major fabric in the room, and the dog came in and it was on the table, and he got it and went under the bed and would not come out. And I didn't want to say, oh, well, just pull your fabric. And, you know, it was just like lackluster because I had this whole presentation, and he would not come out. And finally, I just said to her, oh, I think I'm having audio problems. I said, let me call you right back. And I got off and got under the bed and got the darn dog and got my memo. But after, when I got it, it had teeth marks, and everything was, you know, it just looked ramshackle.
So the dog really ate your homework.
He ate my homework.
Yeah.
All right. Is there a cause that has caught your eye during this pandemic that you want to share with all of us? Go ahead, Laurie.
Well, it almost goes to the recipe disaster question for me, which is, and it's non-specific, it's just that we have been ordering from the tiniest restaurants that we can think of. So, you know, if it is this little place that makes burgers and sells wings, then we're going there instead of ordering from somewhere bigger. And we're just being as micro as we can be. I cannot imagine the fear that these companies have. And, you know, everyone understands this, but we ordered hamburgers from a little tiny place in Brentwood here in Nashville where we live. And I said to my husband, I'm like, they have lettuce and tomatoes, and they have onions, and they have fresh bread, and they have the meat. And we were their only customer when we went and picked up. They said, we know this is your order. You're the only one who's ordered. Wow. So they have a walk-in filled with,
oh my gosh,
restaurant supply, and no one to buy it. And it's just devastating. So we're trying to be as small as we can and spread it out over companies that, you know, one order does make a difference.
That's great. Cory, I saw your hand go up next.
Yeah, just really trying to support the local nurses and doctors with regards to PPE. And sometimes it may not be conventional PPE that's, you know, provided by the hospitals. It may be something as simple as what we did a few weeks ago, going to a hardware store and finding like boxes of goggles and buying the whole store worth of goggles. Like I think over $1,000 was in between our friends and us, just kind of coming together and donating all these goggles to the local hospital. These people have to put these things on. They use them for one patient, and they're supposed to discard them. So they're going through it so quickly. So every little bit counts. It may not be the cutest mask or the cutest set of goggles or whatever the case may be, but they're so grateful to just get any kind of support we can. We have to keep these people healthy to get through this pandemic. First responders.
Yeah. Absolutely. I really love Feeding America. And if you go on their website, you can put in your city, your zip code, and find out who is part of that in your area. Here is Second Harvest. And also in Charlotte, we have Feed the Frontline, which is huge because what they're doing is they are, it's a charity that is you can donate to, and they're helping the restaurants provide food to feed the frontline. And so in doing that, it's helping the local restaurants, but then it's also feeding the people who are out there working, the doctors and nurses and, you know, all the medical people. So it's kind of a line of help. And I think that's hugely, hugely important.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. Last rapid fire, and then I'll get into some questions from our audience. Are you sheltering in place with a furry friend? Yay! I saw one make an appearance already.
She's our little Corona puppy. We adopted her as all of this was going on, and we knew our shelters were scrambling to figure out what to do with all of their fosters, and contacted Wags and Walks and some friends of ours who are advocates for pet adoption, and they got us in touch, and we adopted Millie, and she sits in my lap and makes every bit of my workday better.
Aww. That's so sweet.
Definitely seeing a lot of pet adoptions during this time. Okay, so let's get into some of these questions. This is an interesting one. Do you think going virtual will diminish Highpoint market? Who wants to take that?
No, because of the relationships. In my opinion, I appreciate our vendors working hard so we can see product. But it is about connecting with my peers and meeting with the brands and knowing them and touching and feeling, and understanding how the lamp clicks when you turn the knob, and sitting on the cushion on a piece of furniture. So no, not to me.
And seeing the scale. I think it's so important to be able to sit in a chair and know if it sits well for a man, a woman, or both. And, you know, Highpoint Market has events, all the manufacturers. Universal is phenomenal at the events they hold for designers. And, you know, part of what we have to do is the education. Oh, you hear my dogs now. Well, here comes one dog. And so all of that is in one place. So why would we not go there? Here's Wrigley. I'll let you see Wrigley.
Oh, hi, Wrigley.
Hey. He needs a grooming job, as does his mother. I don't think Highpoint Market's going anywhere. I think it's going to be hard to say that that would change anything. No, I think Highpoint Market is part of who we are as designers, and it will continue and it will flourish.
Awesome. Okay, so this is actually a good question here. Do you have a personal and business Instagram or Facebook account, or do you combine them both?
I'll take that one. I started out having a personal Instagram and a personal Facebook that morphed into my public figure pages after I did HGTV. And I didn't want to have to be bothered with having to manage two different pages and missing messages here and there. So I decided that whatever I couldn't post, if I couldn't post something for the world to see, then I probably shouldn't post it at all. And so I just decided to coalesce everything into one narrative in terms of one platform. So you may have, well, you probably didn't notice, but when I did that, I did kind of, you know, excise any personal posts and any political posts and any shirtless at the beach post. All those kind of disappeared. Those got archived for a nice, clean, cohesive, you know, professional page. But actually, it makes my life a lot more simple. And to be honest, as far as Facebook right now, all the vitriol and mess, the less time I spend there actually is better. So it's good to get in there, do my business, and then get out.
Awesome. Follow-up question. This was just for you. Cory, are you working on publishing a book?
I am working on publishing a book. Yeah, okay. Actually, I signed a deal with Rizzoli Publications last fall, and we are picking out the front cover right now. And the title, we're close to a title. I can't say what it is right now. It has to go through a lot of marketing, development, testing, you know, as far as how the public will react to it and all of that. But it should be about 253 pages, I think, right now we're at. And it should be dropping very soon. I think we go to press later on this summer. So it should be out.
For all of us to read and consume this, you know, we're at home. That's great. Congrats.
Yeah.
Okay, so last question from the audience, and this is a really great one because I'm sure there's a lot of newer designers out there. For a designer who's just starting out, what is your best advice regarding growing social media platforms, being lesser known, with a smaller design portfolio? Who wants to kick that one off?
Well, social media is social, so connect with other designers that you admire. You can create little vignettes in your own home that speak to your aesthetic. And with the iPhone now, or whatever, you know, phone you have, the cameras are so great. You can take great photos, and it can show, you know, what your aesthetic is. You can also go on Pinterest and create mood boards that speak to your aesthetic, and you can repost other designers' work and speak to why you are posting that work, what you see in that work that maybe represents your aesthetic, just make sure that you credit the designer and you credit their photographer. And I always like to ask the person before I post if it's okay. I think it's good to get permission to post, but you can go out, you know, to a shop and take photos of things that speak to you. There's lots of ways that you can find inspiration that will speak to your aesthetic, but just make sure that you do give credit and that you share your point of view so that the person looking at your social can understand what you're seeing there and they learn about you.
And if you, I would just want to chime in with what Lisa's saying. I know that at the end of the day, we are still competing for business. We want to get those great clients. And so for those who are up and coming, I know that sometimes it's a fear that if I post another designer's work, a potential client may see that designer and go to their page and hire them over me. Whereas those of us who have been more established may not be quite so concerned about that. So one tip you may want to also consider is no matter what you do, as Lisa said, you always give credit no matter what you do. But also look to designers who have passed away and perhaps if they speak to you as far as their design aesthetic and their portfolio of work, post their work, the icons, people like LCD Wolf and Mario Buada and Baldwin, you know, post these great designers who came before us. They're no longer your competition.
Yeah.
Body of work is solid and you can still post it with a cleansed conscience and still not produce a competition element for your own brand as you're growing your story.
And my 2 cents on that would be if you have a very small body of work, then to me, that's a great place to invest in incredible photography. If you have the budget to do so, because there's, you know, beautiful work that's not beautifully photographed does not translate and your work does not look expensive and it does not come across. So to me, that actually changed my social media account when I started investing in high quality photography.
And I also took some photography classes online and learned how to use my iPhone. And I feel like a lot of times my photography is really good for social media. I'm not embarrassed to post it. So sometimes I do. Sometimes I create, you know, like if I do a table setting at home, I'll take the photo and post it and get good results from it. So not everybody starting out can afford good photography. So, you know, you just have to find ways to be creative, but good photography is important when you can finally get to that point that you can hire that photographer. It is amazing. It really is.
Use your sketches, use your color boards, use your renderings, whatever you did in school. Post those things that still gives a potential client a snapshot view into who you are and your aesthetic. And it also tells them the quality of your work. If they hire you and you do this gorgeous, elaborate mood board or color board, it can give a potential client an idea of just what you might produce for them. And always, to Deliz's original question, whatever you post on your Instagram, it needs to be professional. So again, no pictures of you on the boat with the Corona beer in hand, or running on the beach, or anything unprofessional. You never know who's watching you, and people will stalk you online for sometimes months or years before they call you. So make sure your content is always professional, and in that case it might be better to do a separate Instagram account for your personal family stuff.
And some designers who are working designers today started with a blog, like Paloma Contreras and Cheryl Luckett and Aaron Gates. They started with a blog and their followers liked their aesthetic that they were seeing through what they were doing in their own homes or with what they were posting, and started asking to hire them. And now they're bona fide designers. So a blog would be another great way to get started.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for all of your knowledge and tips and expertise. A big virtual round of applause from everybody here. If you don't already follow all 3 of these fabulous designers, please do, because they create wonderful, wonderful content. I want to thank Universal for having us. If you want to check out our virtual living room spaces. I mean, they have much, much more. Definitely reach out to them. If you're interested in being part of our influencer network, you can register for free. It's just at embello.com. Neil, is there anything that you want to?
No, we're going to have, this is recorded. So we will post that to our virtual market website. Folks can get a handle on that. They can download it on Monday. And then we also have, if you have some free time at home, please join us on Monday. We have a couple other sessions as well as a preview of our special order upholstery offering that's coming online. So look forward to seeing everyone virtually on Monday. But you guys were great. Thank you so much for making time for us. And
usually we'd be going to network. Usually we'd be going off to network with each other and start mingling after a panel, right? So let's pretend like we're doing that this Friday.
That's great.
Everyone.
Cheers, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care. Thank you very much.
Have a good weekend.
Bye, Lisa. Take care,
Bye.
guys.
Good weekend.
Bye.